And we are live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of our special 2022 LinkedIn Live series. I'm Parker Pell, one of the co-founders of Scholars. And today, what we're going to be covering are the 7 things that every mentor needs to know before you pair them with one of their mentees. Sneak peek in a little preview here. It's not all on the mentor to know this stuff. We have to do what we can as an early career recruiting team to prepare mentors, as they are in fact helping us in our goals of early talent retention and truly providing a candidate experience that is top of class for candidates that we're bringing in internship program or new grad program. Obviously, what we'll be doing, covering the show once again. If you have comments, please drop them in the comments if you're fortunate enough to be able to tune into this live. I welcome them. Any questions about things that I cover today as we dive into this topic. With that, I want to dive right in and let's talk about the 7 things that our mentors need to know before we pair them with our mentees. The first thing is characteristics of a great mentor. I think that before we bring on a mentor to meet a mentee, they should understand ultimately what they can do to provide that best mentor experience to their mentees. Mentors should be passionate about helping others, guide mentees to answers as well, and not just provide them answers, but help them think through those answers. And ask great questions. Every mentor should be a really good question asker and be an active listener to our mentees as they're coming to us with questions, and to be able to provide that honest feedback for the mentee and truly understand the purpose of what they are serving in this mentee's journey of an employee at our company. I think that as long as we can ensure that our mentors understand the characteristics of a great mentor, it'll put that mentor-mentee relationship in the best position for success for our team, ultimately to drive the candidate to want to be retained with us. I think the second characteristic that every mentor needs to know is the importance of goal setting. Goal setting both for the mentor, but also for the mentee themselves. I think that mentors' goals, before they are paired with their mentee, could reflect on maybe gaining new perspectives and growing in their own personal leadership skills, which I think are huge positives that would draw individuals at our company to apply maybe to be a mentor. And then for the mentee, obviously, the mentor needs to understand that the mentee in that first meeting, they should be setting forth goals for themselves that they want to get out of this mentor relationship, whether that's understanding workplace culture a little bit better, growing in their professional development skills, or even simply just better communication practices. I think that goes a long way for the mentor to understand what the mentee's goals are and be able to transform and kind of craft their relationship to ultimately address what that mentee's goals are that they want to get out of that mentor. Third thing, they need to know how to run a meeting with their mentee. Most mentees probably haven't had a relationship with a senior or a manager at a company. Most of them, it might be the first time even in the professional world as they are a student. I think that mentors should be provided by the early career recruiting team with best practices and guidelines for these mentee meetings. Executionally, something as simple as what's the duration of the expected meeting, what topics you might be able to cover, the types of meetings that mentee and mentors can have that our team has seen be successful. I think that providing the structure of how to run that meeting can go a long way. We've heard some questions as well about teams not wanting mentors to be put in a position to answer or get asked questions that they just don't know the answer to. I think that something teams can do to prepare mentors is, before they're paired with their mentee, provide them with a checklist or a guide for questions that they can answer versus questions they just might not have an answer to, so that the mentor isn't put in a position where they're like, oh, I don't know, I can't answer that. But gives them structure so that they know if the mentee asks a question about their placement or about their pay, something like that, that the mentor feels confident in saying, hey, I don't have that answer, but here's when you will find out that the answer to that question, or here's who you can contact as well to get that question answered. That parlays me into the fourth thing that every mentor needs to know, which is what questions to ask their mentees, as we want to make sure that this relationship is as productive as possible. We should be preparing mentors with potential questions that they can ask their mentee that are going to, again, help guide the mentee to understand the answers or grow personally within these meetings. A few examples of questions that I think work really well are: a mentor could ask a mentee about their goals for their career. What does their journey look like? Where do they want to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years? Also, they could ask questions around maybe what are some of their strengths or some of their weaknesses. I think that this opens up the door for a lot of different conversation. And as the mentor is an active listener, as we mentioned, a great characteristic of a mentor, they can understand and take those strengths and weaknesses and help tailor those next meetings that they have with their mentee, and ultimately the goals that they're setting with their mentee for their relationship, to try to make it as impactful as possible. And the mentor is prepared to know that they might have to be the ones that are sparking the conversations and starting these conversations up, so that they're not just sitting there in a coffee chat talking about something that isn't productive. They have questions they know in their back pocket. If the conversation isn't going somewhere and they need something to jump off of, they can reference that document that I, again, advise recruiting teams to put together for mentors, that gives them a starting place for these conversations. I'm gonna get some water, hold on. I think the fifth thing that every mentor needs to know before they're paired with their mentee, there isn't a cookie cutter approach to mentorship. And I don't think that we should be taking a one size fits all approach to mentor-mentee relationships. I think that no mentee is the same. They're all going to want to get out of their relationship with their mentor something different. And it's imperative for mentors in that first conversation that they have with their mentee, when they meet them, to understand what that mentor is truly looking to learn or gain from the meetings that they have with their mentor. Evaluating that on the front end allows mentors to set kind of expectations, set those agendas, set those goals for where the relationship is going, what it's going to look like, so that the mentee has an understanding of what they're going to be getting out of the relationship and how it ultimately relates back to what the mentee might have questions about or might need help with from a professional development standpoint. And again, mentors making sure that they keep track of these goals in an easy to digest format, and understand, as they're an active listener, what that mentee, who that mentee is, what they're looking to gain, and then ultimately how the mentor can take those questions, that goal setting and that agenda setting, to help and achieve what that mentee is ultimately looking for. Again, no mentee is the same. Don't take a cookie cutter approach to mentorship. And I think it'll go a long way, not only for your working relationship, but your early career recruiting team will also thank you, as that experience is just 10x better than we're providing, obviously, if we're just doing the same types of meetings with every single mentee and that's it. The sixth thing every mentor needs to know, it's pretty straightforward. This isn't kind of like something that isn't widely known, is the time commitment. I think recruiting teams should outline what the expected time commitment at a minimum is for a mentor and a mentee based on the duration of their relationship, so that the mentor has an understanding, gets it on their calendar. We obviously know mentors have roles within our company that they're doing on the day-to-day, and there's no real surprises, and mentors don't feel as if they're getting over asked from a time standpoint on the front end, and they know what they're getting themselves into from a scheduling perspective. So that ultimately, as an early career recruiting team, we can have that mentor advocate for our mentorship program to other employees at the company, try to get referrals to more mentors potentially in the company, and keep our mentor pipeline, so to speak, as full as possible, but also keep the mentorship program brand internally strong and succinct as well. Seventh, finally, the last thing I think every mentor needs to understand is why your recruiting team started your mentorship program. Whatever that goal might be, maybe it was just simply to provide candidates with something that they're going to provide them for an outlet for learning. Maybe the whole goal of your mentorship program is, hey, look, we have a mentorship program to increase our retention, to increase our intern to full-time conversions. Whatever that goal might be as to why you created that mentorship program, you should be telling your mentors that as soon as they're accepted as a mentor or they apply, so that they have an understanding in the back of their minds with every meeting that they have with their mentor, why they are meeting with their mentees for the company's standpoint, not just obviously from the mentee's development and perspective, but how their relationship is helping your team achieve whatever that end goal might be for you all. The 7 things, again, that every mentor needs to know before they get paired with their mentee: what the characteristics of a great mentor are, the importance of goal setting, how to run a meeting with your mentee, what questions to ask your mentee. No mentee is the same. Don't take a cookie cutter approach. Outline the time commitment, and then ultimately let them know what the goal of your mentorship program is. I know that was a lot of information, and I hope that it was helpful for individuals to understand what we're hearing and what we're seeing as potential gaps within mentorship programs. That I think outlining what mentors need to know before you pair them with a mentee goes a long way in achieving a lot of ultimately the goals and aspirations for our mentorship program going forward. I'm going to drop a template in the comments after this is done for everyone that we put together that has basically a 7-part list of how you can communicate these things to your mentor in a scalable, easily digestible way that I recommend anyone that has questions about this take a look at. It's a free template. I hope it helps and provides you with ideas for how you could start to build this into your mentor preparation and training strategy before they're paired with a mentee. Lastly, I'm super excited. We had a live event last week that went extremely well about all things Renix. Because of the response to that event, on March 2nd, we are hosting our next live Q&A about scaling your mentorship program. I invite early career recruiting leaders, please register for the event. It's free. It's a super fun knowledge sharing conversation where we're just here to kind of pick each other's brains and figure out what is working best for mentorship and how teams can start to build a scalable mentorship program. I'll drop that registration link as well in the comments for individuals. And please let me know if you have any questions about that. At the end, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful. Obviously, check out our LinkedIn, join our Slack group if you want to knowledge share with early career recruiting leaders about all things early career candidate experience. And I will see everyone next week on next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. Thanks, everyone.